We've all seen how tough things are in the NHS. The latest statistics are also a tough read, a grim read, really. The Sky News data team has been analysing the latest release, and this shows the total deaths for the year compared with 2020 and 2021. The worrying bit right here at the end, the light blue line taking off really at the week near the end of December. And that is 14,350 people who've died in that week, ending the 23rd of December. Now, that's the highest number of any week this year, but it's also the highest since February 2021, at the tail end of the most lethal wave of the pandemic. And back then, around 20% of all deaths were from COVID. Last week, it was just 3%. So something is going on here. And this shows you how far we are above the 5-year average. Now we're talking about excess deaths. And again, look here at the end, this crucial gap, nearly 2,500 excess deaths, 20% higher than what you would expect for this time of year. Now, one of the points the government has been trying to make is that countries around the world are facing similar pressures, that the UK isn't uniquely bad. Is that the case? Well, we've compared excess deaths with other countries here, and you can see there is a similar sort of pattern. The UK in the middle of the pack, doing slightly better than Germany, not as well as the Netherlands and France. But bear in mind, this doesn't include that very latest period we were just talking about, that big jump. So we don't know if that will be specific to England and Wales and conditions here, or whether other countries are feeling a similar thing. Now, the big question is what happens next, whether that spike continues over the next 2 weeks, which we don't yet have data for, given the chaos we've seen in hospitals around the country. There may be some positive news here. We've also had the latest COVID and flu surveillance figures. So this is looking at how many people are admitted to hospital, and it looks like they may be on the wane. And what you can see is that actually flu was pretty quiet, maybe because of those COVID restriction measures. It was ramping up, but we may have passed a peak. But health experts have told us to treat that with a bit of caution.
There's definitely still a lot of flu around. The positivity rate's virtually the same, very, very slightly lower in between Christmas and New Year than the week before Christmas. And obviously, particularly high in young adults. Those are the ones who are out and about mixing most. So we will expect to see that translate into infections. And obviously, the more infections there are, the more admissions there will be eventually.
It's also worth bearing in mind that COVID and flu are not the main causes of excess deaths. So even if those COVID and flu numbers come down, that might not be reflected in the death figures. But COVID and flu do put additional pressure on the health service. So if there's less of them around, that could free up resources to treat other diseases.